All right, it is 2026 and still the best Kindle is the cheapest one. But there are lots of Kindles now. There are more Kindles today than there have ever been between the Colorsoft, the Paperwhite, the Scribe, the Colorsoft Scribe, the Paperwhite Signature. But this little Kindle right here, just the base model Kindle, is still the best Kindle, I think, for most people. It's the Kindle that I have gone to and come back to time after time for years now. And in this video, we're going to talk about my experience now having gone back to or used the base model Kindle for going on 4 years. I'll talk about some of the other devices I've tried, both other Kindles and other devices that are not made by Amazon. And then at the end of this video, I'll talk about the 2 e-reader, e-ink devices that I would like to see, and I'm curious if those are the same ones that you would like to see as well. All right, getting right into it. The base model Kindle is a known quantity at this point. It's roughly the same design that we've had now for well over 5 years. This device back in 2022 got its display updated, or I guess at the end of 22, so really going into 2023. So this has a 300 DPI display, or a high DPI display, that looks great. It's previously a display that you would only have seen on the Paperwhite. Now really the only defining feature of the Paperwhite compared to the base model is that you have that amber sort of light, side lighting. Oh my gosh, I said backlighting on a previous video. And everyone was telling me that it wasn't a backlight. I know. I'm actually going to refer to it as a backlight now out of sheer rebellious nature that I have, but it is technically a side light, yes. So this device does have a light, a built-in light for reading. It is a cooler light, just sort of like that blue light. I think it's actually technically on right now, and that's something that you also don't get with the base model Kindle, is you don't get that Signature series where there's like that ambient light sensor that will adjust the light based on where you're at. I personally found that annoying. I just like locking off the light wherever I'm at anyway. So the Signature model, that feature hasn't meant anything to me. This Kindle here is still the 2024 model of this I guess base model Kindle. It did get released at the end of 24, so it's kind of more like the 2025 Kindle. So it's basically been out for a little over a year now. But one of the great features about this device, I think I could actually break down why this device is so great in 3 features, which is the first being price. This is about $100. Sometimes they go on sale like around Black Friday, but even at their current price, the base price of roughly $100 feels about right. The second feature I really like about this Kindle is this is the lightest Kindle that you can purchase. Now I know there are lighter and smaller e-readers, we'll get into that in a moment, but this is the lightest and smallest Kindle that you can purchase. The fact that it is the most affordable as well means that I can actually just treat this like I would treat any book, like any paperback. I throw this in my bag. I don't use a case. I've never used a case on the base model Kindles other than testing, and I realized it just added too much weight to what I wanted this device to be. And the third option that I really think makes this device great is battery life combined with that USB-C. The whole power sort of profile of this device, I can easily get weeks, 2 to 3 weeks with some heavy reading, maybe closer to a month on a single charge. And then the fact that it has USB-C on the bottom there means that I don't need any special cables to charge it. I already have a USB-C cable for my phone, my laptop, pretty much anything else now in my digital world has that. I made my first Kindle video, I think over 3 years ago now, right around 3 years ago, when I figured, you know what, why not try talking a little bit about these things. The thing that I love most about e-readers is they've gotten me reading a lot more because I can have more books. I can have my audiobooks on my Kindle as well. This has been one of the key tools, not just in my reading journey, but also in my writing and journaling journey, because if I have more to read, I have more things to think about at this slower speed and at a greater depth that you don't get when you're say scrolling through Instagram or pick your social media short form poison of choice. And there is this sense of accomplishment when I can look back at the books that I have read. Now, there obviously is like book talk, and this can get overdone about like trying to read 100 books a year and you don't remember anything you've read. But for me, reading a book about once a week, maybe on average every other week, something like that, getting to the end of the year and having read 30 to 50 books, that works for me and that feels great. Now, if you're like many of my friends, the first question that you'll ask is this device worth it? Is it worth spending $100 on an e-reader? Or if you're looking at other competitors, I actually have the Books Go 6 over here that I tested about, I think a little over a year ago now, along with the latest Kindle Paperwhite I think this is the signature edition in the case, maybe. I've had so many different e-readers that I've tested over the years that I brought those two along just to kind of talk more about the differences between e-readers out there. But when it comes to this Kindle, there are so many great free ebooks that are out of copyright now on Project Gutenberg and Standard eBooks, and I'm sure there's other sources out there as well, but those are the two that I am most familiar with and use. If I had to purchase those books outright, which I would love to have paper copies of all those books, but the reality just was there were dozens, there's probably been over 100 books now that I've read through both Project Gutenberg and Standard eBooks, that if I had to purchase all of those books at say like say $10 for round numbers, I'd be at roughly $1,000. So buying this Kindle has allowed me to read, I'm sure I have some in here, City of God by St. Augustine, Walden by Thoreau, Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence, The Path to Rome by Hilary Belloc. All of these books and more, right, are free ebooks that I was able to put on this Kindle very easily and read it on like a high DPI display, a well-formatted piece of software. So for me, the Kindle has been a device that has saved me a lot of money. Now, when I do that math and go, okay, hey, I've read about $1,000 worth of books legally and free because of what my Kindle's been able to do. If I can save that much money and more, why not spend a little bit more money and go for, say, something like the Books Go 6 or the Books Palma is very popular as well, along with the Kindle Paperwhite and the Colorsoft. I won't really get into the Scribe in this video. Yeah, those are real questions. Why wouldn't you spend, say, $150, maybe $180, I think is what the books ended up coming out with tax and shipping and everything. Kindle Paperwhite Signature, you're gonna be pushing closer to like $200. There's also Kobo out there, which is Rakuten's e-reader that they produce. There's lately I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the XT e-ink 4, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't know if it's how it's pronounced, but it's effectively like a small, like 4-inch e-reader. And I could pretty much dispel both like the sort of third-party stuff and the higher end Amazon offerings, higher Kindle offerings in two different ways, which is the books and what I've tried of like both the Books Go series and the Palma series. They're great devices. They're very capable. They have so many features. I like that this Books has a 6-inch screen that comes with a warm light on it. There's a lot to like about the Books. For me, it just felt too much like I was fiddling with a device and not using an e-reader. And when I kept coming back to the base model Kindle, it was because it just works. I shove my ebooks on it. I can do the whole send to Kindle thing if I want. I can plug it in via USB. I throw ebooks on it and it just works. With the books, I found myself fiddling with like the debloat scripts and trying to set up things like Audible on there, which would sort of work, and then trying to figure out what version of Android would be supported. And there was just a lot of extra overhead, not to mention the fact that this was costing $50 to $60 more, I think, if not more. And the Books Palma 2 is going to cost you closer to, I think, $200, $300 as well. And what I noticed with the Palma was having a phone-like device or phone-sized device didn't actually encourage me to read any more than I was reading on the base model Kindle. This thing is just as portable to throw in a bag somewhere and take with you all the time. And I found that this still has better battery life, especially than something like the Books Go, which I found sleeping it, I might get a few days. If I put it into like deep sleep and then it took forever to wake up, I could maybe get like a week or two. So there was just all these trade-offs with third-party devices. I was watching a video the other day about the XT e-ink 4, I think is what it's called again. I don't know, but like hearing people talk about like flashing firmware and like building out like all these, like that is a fun project, don't get me wrong. I came from the world of Silicon Valley and spent over a decade as a systems and software engineer. I do enjoy those projects, but this was about getting something that already works so I can read books, because when I want to read a book, I don't want it to be like, I just don't want it to be a software project. I have plenty of software projects in my life already, some of which I've talked about on this channel, some I haven't yet. But what's great about the Kindle is it hasn't been a software project for me. It just works. So then on the other side, why not spend $300 or more, $200, $300 on a bigger Kindle. For me, the larger display on the Kindle Colorsoft and the Paperwhite, they have 7-inch displays versus the 6-inch display on the base model Kindle. I personally, it didn't do anything more for me. I actually find the 6-inch size more pleasing to read on, and I like it better for my hands. The warm light really hasn't been much of an issue. I'm mostly reading in daylight, or I have a nice warm reading light, which I'm pointing to right here. The warm light isn't really a thing. I actually think you should buy a warm reading light, save that money from upgrading your Kindle, and have a great warm reading light. I've had this light now for, I think, going on 6 years. The only other thing when it comes to, I think, the Kindle Paperwhite and Colorsoft, obviously with the Colorsoft you get a little bit of color. So if you're doing something like reading comics, manga, or something where you want to be reading color, then yeah, that's a whole other category of e-readers, I guess. I would not mind color, but it's not a priority for my reading. When it comes to the storage, with the Kindle Paperwhite, and I think the Colorsoft Signature as well, you can get 32 gigabytes of storage. If you're doing more like color-based things, I can see why that might be attractive. For me, I already can put hundreds of ebooks on this Kindle with 16 gigabytes of storage, and I can download a few audiobooks as well. You're not gonna be able to download dozens of audiobooks because audiobooks roughly range from maybe like a few hundred megabytes to maybe a gigabyte, but a device that can at least do a few audiobooks, carry hundreds of books on me. And I feel like with my Kindle, I'm really only a person who, I'm in my library right now. I don't really scroll through here that often. It's nice to have a few books for reference, like Augustine's City of God. I think I mentioned that in a previous video. But for the most part, I'm not really switching between a bunch of books. I have a devotional right now to St. Joseph. I was going through Justin Moore's Sponsor Magnet last week. That's a great book for YouTubers, anyone who's doing creative work. Sort of the more biography novel that I'm reading is God and Daring, about Jose Maria Escriva's escape from the communists in Spain in the 1930s. And I mean, that's just an incredible story. I'll probably have to read it again. But yeah, so I don't need to have 32 gigabytes of books. Right now, 16 gigabytes has never been an issue, and I don't foresee it being an issue in the future. But all this said, that doesn't make this device necessarily perfect. The base model Kindle still has a little bit of like quirks and things that I don't particularly like. With the latest update of the Kindles now, they use a new transfer protocol that requires you, if you're on a Mac, to use something like the Android file transfer tool. It's not that big of a deal to do if you want to be moving ebooks over that way over like a USB cable. I think both standard ebooks and Project Gutenberg now have EPUB files that work with Send to Kindle, so that makes it really easy to just forward stuff to your Kindle from those platforms. But I still really don't like managing my books in the like Amazon library, like whatever it is, this interface. And I know you can change the different views here, but still managing multiple books isn't great on the Kindle app or the Amazon backend. I know you can use third-party tools like Calibre, I don't know. I think it's Calibre, maybe. At the end of the day, this device, as far as software goes, isn't perfect. And I think from a hardware perspective, there's still a few things that I would like to see. I would not mind a warm light, and watching the books do it makes me think that there's no reason there shouldn't be a warm light in this device, especially now that the Paperwhite isn't the only differentiating feature from the base model. Now with the Colorsoft model, I would just really like to see 3 devices, something around the 6-inch size, and then maybe something a little bit larger around the 7-inch tablet size, or maybe even pushing 8 inches. And then obviously some of the larger scribes are like 11 inches or something like that, like basically an iPad. Which brings me to my second point, which is I wouldn't mind seeing color on these devices. I know the Colorsoft does make all of the sort of e-ink pixels look a little bit softer, so it's just not as crisp as reading on the pure black and white e-ink display, or like these displays that have like gradients basically between black and white. Still, I would like to see color if there's a way to do it with no compromises or less compromises than what's currently available in the technology. There's still so many trade-offs in the color space that I don't think it's there yet. But if this device could get broken out into 2 separate devices, I would really love a Colorsoft sort of scribe move, which is like sort of a combination of like what Remarkable's doing, what Kindle's doing, what the Books has done, the Palm has done, being able to fit all that tech into this. And now I understand that might move the price up, but I don't think this device on price alone has to win. It just needs to be the best small e-reader. And then when it comes to something like the 4-inch size e-readers, like the ET Ink or whatever, XT Ink 4, I think that's a great place where if Amazon wanted to do a Kindle Nano, sort of like how Apple did a iPod Nano 20 years ago, I would love to have a little 4-inch e-reader to play around more with that had the Kindle software on it. So audiobooks, ebooks, but also send to Kindle features all worked. That would be pretty cool. I would absolutely want to try a device like that. So I think there's actually 2 new categories or 2 new spaces that I would love to see Kindle get into or Amazon get into with their Kindle lineups. But I do want to know, what do you think about the current landscape of e-readers, and what is your current daily driver, your favorite? If you're just looking at buying your first e-reader, I still think the base model Kindle is it. That's why I wanted to make this video. But there's definitely something for everyone now, and it feels like we are living in a time where e-ink devices are the best they've ever been, and they're accelerating in how good they can get. Still, all that considered, I wouldn't sleep on getting an e-ink device or your first e-reader device, because it will get you reading more and it will allow you to then think slower, feel more accomplished. At least that's how I felt with it. And it's gotten me journaling more. It's gotten me writing more. It's gotten me thinking more in the ways that I want to be thinking and producing content, both here on YouTube, but also just writing and journaling, things like that. Last but not least, if you guys want to help support this channel, I wrote a ebook, or I came out with an ebook last year called Restored in the Rhythm. It's a little devotional if you're into that kind of thing, or if you just want to help support the channel. I'll link it down in the description below. This video is not sponsored by Amazon or anyone, though I do, or I probably will have an affiliate link for any of the devices I've talked about here. So if you do end up purchasing a Kindle and you use that affiliate code, that does also help support the channel as well. With that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed to this channel. And if you haven't yet, please do so. It really does help me out. And be kind, both in life and in the comments below. Like this video to send good vibes across the internet. And we will do it again soon. Later.